folks, welcome to the Prepared Homestead. This is Travis. Thank you all for stopping by to watch. Haven't done a driving video in a while. Kind of like the walking videos. Some of you love them, some of you hate them because it's a gravel road and it's really bumpy, and I drive an old pickup truck and it's squeaky and loud. Not a whole lot I can do about it. A lot of things going on still. Stock markets and everything look like they were going up. The dollar value coming down. But the interesting thing is the United Nations has come out and they have made an urgent plea that the Federal Reserve and other central banks please stop raising interest rates. They believe that it's going to throw the entire world into a global recession. Again, I say this all the time. I am no economist. I'm no expert in this field. I know what I know from just reading and studying things and watching others that know more than I do. My gut tells me that this is not good news. The Federal Reserve has had their secret closed door emergency meeting today. I have not heard if there is anything in the news of what they did or said or whatever in that meeting. I don't know. Could be nothing. Could be an interest rate increase, could be a decrease, could be some kind of big bailout, throwing some more money into the system. Who knows? But there's just a lot happening right now, and we've been talking about this off and on for the last few weeks. I have been getting contacts from sources that I believe are solid sources. I don't want to talk about them on here too much. And I know some of you say, oh, you're just making this up. If you can't prove it, then it's nothing. I get it, and that's why I'm cautious about saying anything. But I have received some pretty solid sources that have some pretty good information that's showing that the dollar isn't too good. That it could be, on the way out sooner than you think. Can't prove that, so just tuck that into, possible file, because we don't know. What we do know is that things don't look good at all. I mean, inflation just keeps going up. I saw a number just a few days ago, and in my mind, it slips me of what particular number it was, but it was something of it wasn't necessarily an inflation rate. It was something like the amount of money that people have on hand or their spending power, and it's not looking good. All the numbers across the board just don't look good, and we're seeing banks around the world nearly on the collapse. Yes, the one that I mispronounced in yesterday's video or whatever. I don't know how to say it any more than what I do already. Folks, we need to start getting serious about this. We need to start buckling down and getting ready. And I know that many of you are. Many of you have taken your preparations very serious, and you're doing the whole body, the physical preparations, the mental, the spiritual, because all of that is necessary. I think probably my suggestion, my encouragement, pushing, I don't know what you want to say, is that as small groups, and some of you do have your little small group that you meet with, your circle of friends, your prepping group, whatever you want to call it. We need to not just focus on preparations as in food storage and food production and bartering and working with each other and helping each other out, but you need to, I think you need to get serious about your training. I think you need to be with the stuff that's going on with the economics, and then, sorry, the bumpy road is causing my little camera thingy to jiggle around. With the state of the finances in the world today, and then also all this possible talk, or this talk of possible actions with Russia. It does look like very possibly closer than ever before, even during the Cuban Missile Crisis and all that, that we are getting ready to be involved in not just a world war, but very possibly a nuclear world war. Folks, it's time to start taking our training and our actions seriously. This is the part of prepping that a lot of people are a little nervous about. There's been so much happen over the years of government involvement in groups of people that go out and they train. They train in defense. They train in survival skills. So a lot of people are really leery about that. They want to keep it to themselves. You know, you may go out on your own and do some target shooting and a little training, but a lot of people are pretty scared to do it as a group because of, especially nowadays more than ever, you know, all the ridiculous FBI snooping around and the political war that they have against the conservative right. But I'm telling you, it's now more than ever that we need to be doing these things. I would encourage men to form men's groups. You can call them a men's Bible study, which you should be studying Father's Word together, praying together, and then training together. And you don't even have to call it training. The people that are involved, they're going to know what's going on. But if anyone hears from the outside, oh, we've just got a little Bible study group that we meet together. We can do this online, do this in person. If nothing else, it's an appeal to heaven, much as George Washington once said and did with his banner for his unit. We are living in those times, folks. Has the first shots heard round the world been fired off? No, not yet. We may be closer to that point than you think. You folks need to be working on defense training, moving and working together as units, working on communications. You be working on encrypting your communications. There are ways to do that. Folks need to be working on first aid. How are you going to do that as a group? Do you have a centralized first aid type of unit? Maybe it's a trailer, a tent, certain designated people that have medical training that will take that up. Everyone should have some basic medical skills, know how to patch a hole and put a tourniquet on and clean a wound and that kind of stuff. This kind of training is getting more and more necessary. It's not that you shouldn't have been doing it all along. You should have. But when you look at the state of affairs and all the different things that's going on, we should be doing this. The far left is doing it. 2 years ago, we all watched the BLM and Antifa riots, and many of us laughed at their militaristic kind of tactics because it was kind of pathetic looking. There were these far left units that were forming, and they looked like a bunch of elementary school kids out there with paintball guns. They don't look like that anymore. Over the last couple of years, there's been a lot of reports, and there's been certainly plenty of evidence that these groups have been finding people to train them. You might say, oh, who would be training groups like that? Well, what do you think they've been doing to the military for the last 10, 15, 20 years? They've been putting a lot of far lefties in it, especially starting from the Obama administration. So there's plenty of ex-military that have lots of good training that lean far left. And I've seen videos just recently of these type of Antifa units being defense, using their units as defense for, you know, LGBTQ whatever, or the alphabet mafia, their little pride parades and their little deals that they do at restaurants with children, all this kind of stuff. And they have people out there fully armed, and they're guarding these events. And you can tell in some of these people have had some training. They're not just out there and not knowing what they're doing. I'm not saying that they're experts. I'm not saying that you know, they're equal to, you know, any type of highly trained unit. What I'm saying is that they are training. They are getting out there. You may laugh, and I'm not saying all of them are training in the best way that there is, but there's certainly ample evidence that several of these are out there getting actually some pretty good training in. And if they're doing that, we definitely should be. I think a lot of conservative preppers and folks like us, I think they just have this assumption, you know, that, wow, I hunt my deer and I live in the woods and I know how to shoot a gun. I don't need any training. I got all the training I need growing up out here. It doesn't work that way, folks. I've had a lot of very good quality training from Uncle Sam. And the times that I, you know, don't keep up on it, when I go back out again, if it's been weeks or months, I can tell that I've lost a little bit of my edge. This kind of stuff you need to be working on a regular basis. You should be budgeting in every month to purchase a certain amount of training ammo, and you need to be using that. You need to be, if you're green and new and don't have any professional training, there's certainly a lot of videos out there that you can start off with, and then there's businesses that you can obtain good quality training from. And I'm not talking just firearms. There's first aid, medical, survival, scouting, communications. I'm not saying that we will most definitely end up in that kind of world and that kind of scenario. What I am saying is that it's becoming much more likely of a chance that we will. And rather than being caught off guard and letting our egos keep us from, or our fears keep us from this kind of training, we should be taking advantage now, the time that we have, the resources that are available, and getting out there as groups and doing this kind of stuff. I know that, again, I know that there's a lot of fear. You know, you don't want people to know what you're doing. Well, don't let them know. No one should know. Only your inner circles. Shouldn't be telling anyone. Don't be posting pictures, bragging about what you're doing. You know, like I said, you can call it a women's group, a men's group. You can call it a, you know, a family gathering. You can call it whatever you want. Call me extreme, call me crazy. But folks, when you're looking at the stuff that's happening and the increased levels of panic, I'm not talking about to the point that people are going out and just going crazy and panicking, but there's definitely an increased level of, can't think of the right word, that people are starting to feel this. It's almost like a ticking time bomb. And at any point, any certain event could happen and cause people to kind of tip over the edge. And we would be fools to not be prepared in that way. I know that many of you may not have the physical ability to do the things that I'm talking about. Maybe it's your age or disability or whatever it is. There's other things you can do. You don't have to be a combat warrior. You can be a prayer warrior. You can learn first aid, and you can help those and bandage up boo-boos and things like that. You can do many other things. These types of skills is what I'm talking about. need to be working on those. It's not all about just stacking beans and rice in buckets. The things that are happening could very well lead to very violent things, very, very destructive things. And folks, it's now more than ever we need to be planning for that. Even if it doesn't happen, it's so much better to at least be planned and ready ahead of time than to not, and it all come falling apart and then we're not ready. Don't just be a keyboard prepper. Get out there and train daily, at least on something. Work on it. Look at life anymore as a training exercise. And what can you do each day to train your mind and to train your body, and especially train your soul? Folks, get your houses in order. Prepare mentally, physically, and spiritually. Thanks for watching. I'll catch you in the next video.